Hey guys, and welcome back to the show. I am your host, Megan Hardy, and I'm the founder of Fitness Uncharted, which is my nutrition and fitness coaching company that I created to help women lose fat, build muscle, improve your metabolism, and find complete food freedom. And today I am joined by a very special guest, one of our very own, Christy Simmons, Coach Christy in the house. Christy is a coach with the Fit You, and she is such a perfect person to have on today for this conversation. We're going to be talking about how to stay structured with your nutrition without being obsessive. And Christy comes from a background of bodybuilding, of she's gotten herself and her clients into elite level shape. She knows what she's doing. She's been around the block and back with a lot of this. And so she's a perfect person just to have this conversation of, you know, let's not be so restrictive with our nutrition, but also how do we be strict enough to continue to see results. So, Christy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes. It's been a minute since us coaches came on.
Yes, it has. It really has.
That was
Um,
like, what, like a year ago?
I think if not more. It's been some time. So
It's
it's
been some
good to be
time.
here. It is. It's good to be
I
here.
know. Yes. Well, okay. So also before we jump in, I know we've had you on the show before. We did a coach's corner type episode about a year ago. So go back through our episode list if you want to listen to that one with all of our Fit You coaches. Um, but Chrissy, would you just share a little bit, like in context to the nutrition piece, like your kind of a quick snippet of your backstory with nutrition for
Sure.
yourself and where
Mhm.
you're at today with it?
Yeah. So when I started in my 20s, right? So let me just clarify, we did not have macro tracking then. Like it wasn't even a thing. And then we didn't even have I don't if we had cell phones, it must have been like the flip kind of cell phone because I couldn't go on to my phone and look up any kind of macronutrients. But I always had I don't want to say I was a binge and restrictor, but I was either on a very structured protocol diet for bodybuilding, and I mean that was consisted down to like two long lettuce leaves and four prunes. Like that's how it was. Like back then, that was old school. Like this is you're gonna have your 5 ounces of chicken, four prunes, and your lettuce leaves. Like it was like very. So whenever I deviated from that. Um, I began to become obsessed with what did I just consume that was not in my plan. And what I remember is like now having more wisdom with this is like there was an Arby's and they used to sell concretes. They were like these big ice cream, almost like a McFlurry kind of thing that's at
Mm.
McDonald's, kind of like in line with that. And I remember I got one and it was so good. And I remember just loving every moment of that. And the next day, that was 40 minutes from my house at this Arby's. The next day, I was so consumed in my mind with what was in that I literally got in my car and drove to that Arby's and asked them for the nutrition because they were coming out with the nutrition pamphlets so I could have peace of mind of how much actually did I eat. And here's your sign, right? Like something is amiss. Like there's your sign, Christy, that you're becoming a little obsessive. So it has been a nice journey to evolve from that. And that's what I want to like, as we dive into this today, kind of share like how to get out of that kind of mindset.
Oh my gosh, so good. I know it's like you could go two ways with it. Like if you were in a if you also have to have self-awareness because if you were in a healthy headspace and you're like, "Hey, no, I really want to know this nutrition information. I want to be more on point, whatever."
Right.
But you're like, let's be honest, it was not coming from a healthy place. It was coming
No.
from an obsessive
Hmm.
place with
It
it.
was. Hmm.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like it's knowing yourself too, because sometimes it's like, yeah, let's do try to guesstimate if we're eating out or whatever. But other times it's like, no, you can really just enjoy that meal and just it's not going to make or break you
Yeah.
with your fitness or nutrition goals. And I would love, so we actually decided to create this podcast episode based off of our team call last week. And Christy was just sharing. So shout out to our clients. We talk about you guys.
Yeah.
Um, she was sharing a couple client examples and client stories, and just of some things that have been working really well and helping some of her clients that have been struggling with nutrition or struggling with their relationship with food and struggling with that food noise thing, right?
Yes. Yes.
So without naming any names, don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
Some of our clients are probably like, "Oh my gosh, what is she about to say?" um, we won't name any names. We'll keep everyone anonymous, but we just wanted to share because obviously, if one person's going through it, there's probably a lot more people going through this, struggling with these same
Mhm.
things. So, one example, you have a client who, her wife's birthday was coming up,
Mhm.
and she was just having food noise around that, right? And would you just share a little bit about some of the
Yes.
things y'all talked about with
Sure.
that?
So she's currently in a cut. And so, right, when we're in a cut, we want to be in the cut, right? And we want to be precise. And that is a beautiful thing, right? That's showing discipline. You know, you're on your game, on your way to achieving your goal. But where it becomes an issue is, so like for this specific person, her wife was having a birthday party, and she was already, this is days before the birthday, she's already, really stressing because she doesn't think that she can participate in the food and the wine that they're going to have there because she's in the cut and she doesn't want to fail herself in the cut. So that's when it can become okay. So this is a part of life, right? This is a loved one, somebody that she adores, right? That she loves. She is celebrating their life. And if we start to like self-sabotage in ourselves of like, oh my God, I can't eat it. I can't eat it. If I eat it, I'm going to feel like I failed. All the things, then we've completely just robbed ourselves of this being a healthy journey, right? At that moment, we
Mm,
have entered into I couldn't call it the construction zone, and we need to work there because you need that's a time for freedom, right? Thanksgiving is a time for freedom. Christmas is a time for freedom. Not every day, right? It's not an every it's things that are special events, giving ourselves the freedom because at the end of the day, I have never in all my years, even with myself or with clients, in all the years, I have never seen someone go have enjoy themselves and have a fun moment and day and come back and have just ruined all their progress. It just doesn't happen.
yeah.
It does not happen. Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Well, and that's we were talking about this. There are the people who, and I've recently, by the time this releases, will have had a prior episode kind of touching on this, but two categories of people. One, some people who really are off the chain, bouncing off the walls. They need more structure and routine and consistency. But the majority of the people we work with are the ones who are already having structure, routine, consistency. We just need to dial things in a little bit more. But you're the people who, if you're already being 80 to 90% consistent, you can allow for those, a holiday, a birthday, those things. And it's not like you said, Chrissy, you've never seen it ruin someone's progress.
Yeah. Ever. Yeah.
Like, because that's not your normal MO. That's not what they're doing every other day. It's like on occasion and nothing to really be too concerned about. Another client you had mentioned who, uh, um, you guys actually just switched. So this client was tracking macros. We do use macro tracking as a tool because it's one of the most accurate and consistent ways for us to pull the strings and dial things in with your nutrition and get you to your results the fastest. But for some people, whether you're coming from a background of like binging and restricting, or maybe some kind of ED, like some eating disorder, maybe it's too triggering in some way, or maybe you just find that it actually creates more food noise for you. This example of this client, she was like, I just am not in a great headspace with tracking right now. It's making me so obsessive. And would you just talk a little bit about what you guys are currently doing as some alternatives? She's trying to go into a cut, right?
Right.
But some alternatives of how you're approaching it with her.
Sure thing. And I do want to say this too. For anyone listening to this too, I want you to know that if you do have these moments where you want to binge after slipping up, that you are not a failure. You are a human being, and that we all experience this, even as coaches. We experience this. So please give yourself grace because that's key. I mean, every woman, I've never met a woman who's just been like, no, I've never had a desire to eat a bunch of junk. Never met her. Um,
Never met her.
yeah, I've never met her. So just kind of give yourself some grace. So food
Yes.
noise. I do feel like even with myself personally, when when we are prepping, right? So when we're food prepping and we know what we're going to eat and we're completely structured, right? That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But what can happen, I know it's happened even to myself, is all of a sudden we start to think of food all day long because we're like, oh, have I had my first meal yet? What time is it? Oh, when do I eat my second meal? Oh, I can't eat that today because I packed that and I need to eat that, so I can't eat that. All of a sudden the food noise grows and grows and grows. So a way to eliminate that is food photos, right? So the precision is not there. We're not completely precise on what we're taking in, but once we can get like take our focus off of so much of the extreme of what we're consuming and we just have a general idea and you let me like let your coach drive and just let me see it and not let me navigate it and you start to see your progress without the obsession, it's a release and then you stop thinking about food so much and next thing you know it's not like it quiets down. It's like it's just like
Mm,
it gets a little quieter. It's typically what happens at that point is the growling in your stomach is your signal to eat and not just the thoughts of all the time of when do I eat again. And I don't want to go over protein. I don't want to go under protein. And your mind can just really just stay on it. And it's not healthy. So right. So to bring it back is okay, well, maybe sometimes the winning part of that is let's not be so in control. Let's
hmm
take food photos and let me do my job with you, right? Let me see and let me drive and let you relax a little bit into this and not be
So
so.
good. And so like Christy as the coach seeing, so like if you're working with a coach or you have someone there that she's going to be able to give feedback of like, okay, this gives us an idea of what you're eating without tracking, right? Like it's not going to be as accurate, but she can see portion sizes. She can see, okay, if you're having some mashed potatoes, let's half those mashed potatoes in half. And like, if we're going to cut, like going into next week, let's add some more protein to your plate here. Like, she can make some tweaks and changes and like have something to go off of without like completely being blind. But it doesn't have to be full tracking, which can be a beautiful thing. Um, I will say, again, there can be a lot of variables there. So, like for this particular client, her and I were actually voice messaging earlier today, and we'll talk about some of our other context with our messaging here. But she was, we were saying like maybe even doing more of a structured quote unquote meal plan for a week and or 2 weeks, eating literally like the same breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks every day for a week or two and then switching it up coming the next week after that while she's in the cut if she's not tracking. Because it's like, yes, if we are having so many variables and every day looks different, we don't really know what things to change, or we can try, but going into the next week. So, for instance, if you're not wanting to track macros, you might want to just simplify your meals a little bit more so that then, if so, let's say you're trying to lose weight or you're in a cut, if you are eating the same breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, and you didn't lose anything this week or didn't see any, measurement progress or anything like that, then the next week, maybe you're like, okay, maybe I have an oats bowl, protein bowl in the morning. I'm going to do half of the oats going into next week and keep all my other meals the same. So you're probably pooling, 100, 150 calories or whatever by the adjustments that you're making. It just makes it another way to have structure without the obsession that can come with tracking too.
So good. Yeah.
So like you can kind of use in tandem, like whether it's food photos or kind of having more of a quote unquote meal plan for a week or two at a time. There are other ways if you find yourself being like obsessive with your tracking tendencies. Um, and also, she had mentioned too, what would be your advice as far as like having cheat meals or cheat days, and especially for someone who comes from maybe more of a little bit of a binge
Yeah.
restrict background?
Yeah. I I think it can be a little dangerous. So just hear me with this. So um I do think it's ideal, the 80/20 rule that we've, always talk about, right? So 20% of your calories can be fun food, right? Pleasure food on a daily basis. And that's going to keep you from feeling so restricted. Because like this is an example. So I had this one client who is in a cut, but she went away on a vacation and they had this donut shop with these special donuts, right? So
Mm,
she walks into the donut shop and she had two choices. She either could not eat the donut, right, and stay on her game, or she was going to leave there and she was going to think about that donut for probably a week. Because that's what ends up happening. And then you end up going to some random donut shop that's not even the same, and then you end up getting it because you've been thinking about it so much. So at that moment, it is better for her to have that donut, right? And then call it a day and then be back on eating for purpose for the rest of the day. That is
mm,
the ideal way to do it. I always say, instead of looking at it as a cheat meal, I like to look at them as am I eating right now for purpose or pleasure, right? So
mm.
if it's for purpose, right, it is what it is. Like I'm eating this for this reason. It does taste good, but it's not amazing. But if I see that donut or that piece of pizza or that whatever that junk food is, that's my pleasure, and I get a little pleasure every day. I get a little
Yeah.
pleasure every day, so I don't feel so restricted.
I get a little pleasure every day.
Yeah, every day.
Every day. The girl gets a little pleasure every day. Yes, that's literally the conversation I had with her over voice message through our app. But she was asking me too because she knows I come from my background of binging and restricting. And I said the same exact thing. I was like, one thing that's helped is shifting my mindset from having a cheat meal. I think that's a really dangerous headspace for someone who binge restricts because it's already you can go way overboard for that one meal or that one day that could really offset your cut or your deficit for the rest of the week prior or it can also bleed into the next day or the next week or the next few days because you just feel like crap about yourself and you're like, well, now screw it, with the all or nothing mentality. So
Yeah,
I personally am like, I don't use the cheat meal terminology, or like I'm not a huge fan of that because of my own personal experience and background with it and of where I think it can put us. But to your point, if you're allowing yourself a little bit of pleasure every day, you're not even cheating on anyone. You're having the pleasure without cheating.
yep,
And if
yep,
you literally look at your calories, like 10 to 20% of your food each day could be your choice, fun food, pleasure food. The other 80 to 90% should be the purpose food, the stuff that's going to move the needle towards your goals. And if we look at, let's just say, a 2,000 calorie diet to keep it simple, 10 to 20% of that is 200 to 400 calories for that day. So have the cookie, or maybe you are trying to be more rigid in your cut. Maybe it's just 10% you want to allow. So maybe you're going to cut and you're at, let's say, 1,800 calories or 1,700 calories. That's 170 calories. That right there is a Yasso bar at the end of the day. Like, go enjoy your treat. So
that's
it
right.
allows for it, it allows room for pleasure without having guilt, which is a beautiful thing. And then also, like, if you are the person you've had the binge and you now feel like crap about yourself, and you're like, and actually this client, when she messaged me, she was like, so I binged. She was like, I went into the weekend, or like knowing I was going to have a quote unquote cheat day. And then I had another unplanned cheat day, basically.
Yeah,
And I was like, this is why I don't recommend going thinking you're having a cheat day. It's like, no, I'm going to allow myself to have a little more pleasure food on this day with no guilt, but I'm still going to eat for purpose part of the day. And I'm going to get right back to my purpose eating the next day. It's a different mindset shift. And one thing I shared with her, I would be curious, Christy, if you have a reset meal yourself, but I talked with her about reset meals and like how mine, it's helps me get right back on track after I've maybe had a binge or just overeaten or eaten junk. I'm like, okay, instead of letting this continue on or restricting and not eating the next morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because I'm like, ugh, I ate so much last night. Instead, I have my quote unquote reset meal, which is where I get right back on track with something that I know is going to make me feel good. So for me, mine is like an egg and egg white omelet with, when I was eating dairy, right now I can't, but Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. And then maybe like my oats and protein bowl if I'm hungry enough for it. But that's like a meal that I'm like, okay, there's my fiber, there's my protein. It makes me feel good. Have some fruit. And it like resets me physically and mentally.
yep,
Do you have a meal like that you
absolutely.
use?
So these are my two. So it's just so funny because this is my like I look forward to it so much, especially when I'm in that in between. We're coming off of having some fun, but it's two pieces of Ezekiel bread, right? So toasted, and then I have two whole eggs and two egg whites, And there's a certain season, it's a Kinder seasoning that I use. It's caramelized onion, Kinder seasoning, and I sprinkle that on there. And then I put just a little bit of coconut oil on my bread.
Mm.
And like an egg sandwich. I have that, or I am so in love with frozen blueberries and a little bit of peaches, cut up peaches in my cottage cheese. And then I put a
Oh,
little bit of sugar-free syrup in there,
yum.
and it's yummy. Yeah.
In there. Yeah. Wait, the frozen, I have to ask, the frozen blueberries, are they still frozen when you put them in the cottage cheese?
They are, and it's because it's a weird thing. I like to like, you know how you sounds so weird saying this. You know, you put them in your mouth and you're like, it's like you suck on them. It just lasts longer. I savor it.
Oh, we're not 13 years old laughing about. Yes. Okay. Okay. So are they crunchy still then? Are
They
they?
are. They're like
Okay.
a it's like they melt in your mouth because the heat in your mouth, they get
Yeah.
so yeah. So yeah. Anyway.
There's so much. That's what she said. We
Yeah.
just can't be mature right now. Okay.
Should not.
But so you have your go-to meals,
Yes.
bringing that
Yes.
full circle. Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, instead of, because I think the tendency is like, I feel like crap about myself physically. Like, I feel
Yeah.
inflamed, I feel nasty, I feel bloated. And then I also feel like crap about myself mentally because I just did that. So now let me just not eat for the next couple meals, until I can get myself back to feeling leaner, have a good poop, sleep on it, all the things, right? But it's
Yes.
like,
That's
no,
right.
just get right back on track with your healthy eating. Like, yes, you can make some adjustments to that, whatever that next meal is, but like have that go-to reset meal to help. And I shared with her, I don't know about you too, Chrissy, but like I was like, I don't think if you're anything like me, like that I still haven't arrived. I still struggle. I shared with this client over voice messages. I was like, I just had a day like this a few days ago where I overate and I felt like crap. And but now I'm just quicker to get back on the wagon than I used to be,
Mhm.
and they're not as extreme as they used to be. So
Mhm.
I'm getting better, but I still like your girl likes to eat, like
Mhm.
I
I'm
love
with you.
food and my
Yeah.
eyes are bigger than my stomach a lot of times and all of that. But I think it's just a matter of like you're faster once you kind of mature in your nutrition and your fitness
Mhm.
journey. It happens less often and then you just get back on the wagon faster.
And as you see, so I really feel like it's such a retraining of our mind, especially for I say older generation, but it's really, I guess, for all. But I know for me growing up, it was always about eat less, move more, right? It was just always about that. So reprogramming our thoughts and seeing the progress that is not the case, right? It's about keeping that metabolism, getting down to the roots. That's your metabolism fired so that you can enjoy life and the quality of life. Once you start to see that, is when you begin to become like you'll loosen the grip a little bit on that
Mm,
control, and start to see that your movement, your activity, your work, your consistency and work it out is going to be as far outweigh whether or not you had pizza on Friday night and wine, or you know what I mean, or not.
hmm
Like it's like you,
hmm
it's totally gonna. I mean, it's something I like to say too is, for an example, in competition mode, my last show, every Sunday I went to Buffalo Wild Wings every Sunday, and I had onion rings and my wing, as many wings as I wanted, and it never affected me. But here's the thing: I don't applaud that behavior for regular, for everyday living, right? Because at the end of the day, that could be considered a binge and then restrict during the week. That's just something that kept me accountable, and I just knew like I had something to look forward to. But that's part of me liking getting ready for a show, right? But
Yep.
in daily life, that is not, I do not recommend that. I would absolutely recommend going into Buffalo Wild Wings like tonight, get a salad and a little bit of wings on the side and call it a day, right? So like instead of it being an all-out event, one of the things I wanted to touch base on before we go is that, you know, so much even for myself with this journey, it's not about always just reaching the goal, right? It's not about when my body fat gets down to a certain percent, when I aesthetically look this way. Yes, that's a beautiful arrival, but what changed inside of me as I was
Mhm.
arriving to that goal? right? So things that have changed to me over the years of just arriving at my fitness goals, even now, hitting onto 50 years old, like I am arriving to not needing to have a structured plan and then binge eat, structured plan and then binge eat, right? Like I am
Mm,
showing myself patience, giving myself patience and grace. And we do only live once, and there is some really yummy things in this world, and so if you want to eat them, there is a way in which to do that that's not going to make you feel like you're a fat blob and you just feel gross all the time. No, you can eat it and still feel good. And so I think just
mm,
also recognizing, like, hey, what am I becoming in this journey? Like, what am I learning? Like, one client we were just talking today, she's learning in her journey perseverance and patience, because
mm,
she has gotten frustrated at times, because as we get older, sometimes it takes a little longer to see the results we want. But she's seeing the results, right? So it excites her and it keeps her motivated to keep persevering and keep seeing it. And it's giving her some patience with herself to be like, okay, well, I'm not seeing the results as quick as I'd like, but I'm seeing them. So,
mm. I
yeah.
think I know. I think I might know which client you're talking about. But is this the DEXA scan?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So that was another thing I wanted to touch on too, was like so actually in that client, she is in perimenopause, correct?
yes,
Yep. Things get harder. It does. Chrissy's like, I could speak to
yep,
that firsthand.
yep, yep,
um, and yes, things change and may take more time. I have to give this client massive props. She's been with us over 6 months now,
yes.
right? Yeah.
And been on her game, like on her game the entire time. Like she shows up fully, constantly.
Fully. Like
Hmm.
hands down, we can both say that. Like this is not someone you're going, I'm
Yeah,
gonna read between the lines here,
yeah,
and I don't think you've
yeah,
really been on your P's and Q's. Okay, there's still a lot of room for some
yeah.
improvement. We all have room for improvement. Not gonna lie,
Right.
that's not. She's not 100% perfect, as she doesn't need to be, but she is 90%. Like
Yes.
she is on it.
Mhm.
And it's really frustrating when you're not seeing as results as fast as you think you should, especially when you've experienced results faster in the past.
That's
But
right.
things change, your body changes, we're different.
Mhm.
And she has stayed the course and stuck it out, and she is looking bomb.com.
She is. Yeah, she
I
really is.
mean,
Yeah.
talk about abs, talk about muscle. Like she's in her how old is she?
40, I think she's off the top of my head, I want to say, I know we're in the same age, but she's either 48 or 49, because we're in the same
We're
ballpark.
not trying to add years to your life or
You're
anything,
not, I
but
know, but I
okay,
think
like
we
around
are in the
48,
same
49,
age
right?
bracket.
Looking amazing. And also feeling great. And one thing she actually shared in our VIP chat recently was we have a chat thread for all of our one-on-one clients. And she was like, who knew I could get my body, in better shape and eat more and feel good? Like do those three things at the same time. Like,
And I have to say this because I hope nobody knows who she is, so it's okay. But
yeah.
she got the biggest, can I just say this? She got the biggest compliment last week, and it came from her son. Her son was because he's a football player, and he was just telling, he really thinks his mom is like a badass, and he was really expressing that watching her do that was really, and I thought that is better than any trophy. That is better than any, right? So that's really cool too. I have to say that.
And the best compliment when it comes from like your teenage son, like
Hmm.
better than that compliment from anyone else. You're like,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
arrived when my son thinks I'm really
Yes.
fit.
Yes.
But also along with that, recently did a DEXA scan, and like I just want to also put this plug in here for anyone who a DEXA scan is kind of more of the gold standard if you're looking at your body fat or your lean muscle mass, versus something like an in-body scan or like of course the smart scales. I think those are
Yeah,
funny or a joke most of the time.
they are.
But even with that, like not letting the body fat percentage or lean mass number just become a new weight or scale number, where in your mind you're so focused, because I'm speaking to our type A personalities
Yes.
here, that you're not so focused on these metrics and numbers, because her DEXA didn't look quite as she expected it or anticipated it would based off the physical results she's seeing. And it was kind of something that felt like a little bit of a downer, right?
That's
At
right.
first. And it's like, wait, but you look amazing. You feel amazing. And also, there is room for error even in a DEXA scan. If you go and you get a DEXA scan when you're more hydrated and you've had more water, that'll show up as more lean mass. And then that'll make it look like you have less body fat percentage. So maybe you were more hydrated the last time and you go the next time and you're like, wait, what the heck? This, like, I haven't made as much progress as I thought. Well, you literally could have been more hydrated the last time you went, or a
Right.
different time of day, or whatever. There's still room for error
Mhm.
or variables. So that's why, again, it just shouldn't be the
Yeah.
gold standard. It's like, really, how are we feeling?
Yeah.
How do we look and feel? Does the
Yeah.
rest matter?
I know.
Does
It
it?
doesn't to me. I mean, I know type A, right? On that piece of paper, it's like, you know, me and my analogies, I'm always thinking like, if I go to the bank, right, and I got a lot of money, but my back, all of a sudden this paper over here is reading that I'm going to freak out for a second, but then it'll be like, I know I got money. Like, I know I got money, so it's the same, like, I know I look good, like, I know I'm
Yeah.
looking good, even though this piece of paper is not telling me that right now.
Yeah. Like, I know I got checks to write.
Yes.
Okay. But also, I actually have an episode about this. So go back and or search and wherever you listen to your podcast episodes on what body fat percentage should I be for the muscle makeover. Go look for that episode. I don't remember what number it is, but that's where Christy and I were just talking before recording this. And you take two people, one's more boxy shape and one has more of a pear shape. Those two people could both be, let's say, 18% body fat, and they're going to look very different because of where they hold their body fat, right? So that episode speaks more to what body fat percentage is right for me and my body and my goals, right? So even that, it's like,
Good.
doesn't mean every woman should be 21% body fat.
Mhm.
It depends on the person too.
That's even good, even when I look at that on as far as competition goes and stage. Like, there's so many different body types. So where one girl might be 12% body fat, another girl might be 16% body fat at her leanest. Like, everyone's different. It's for your body type. So you can never compare either. It's apple to oranges. You can't.
You
Yeah.
can't. You can't. And I also want you to share next. I want to make one plug from something you said earlier, but also if you would share your seesaw analogy with balancing the
Yes.
obsession of nutrition. But also wanted to touch on the fact when you were competing, and you're also preparing for maybe a next
Mhm.
show down
Yes.
the road.
Yes.
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 So Christy's in that prep mode right now, but when you would have your quote unquote cheat days and then be more restrictive during the week and then go to Buffalo Wild Wings on Sundays. I was actually sharing with that one client who was messaging about binging and restricting how the cheat meal mindset has worked for like maybe like two of our clients, like ever, and like really worked well. But that's because you in that mindset of bodybuilding and competing is a totally different thing. You were
Yes.
so on your P's and Q's the rest of the time,
Yep.
so rigid the rest
Mhm.
of the time that
Yep.
it allowed for that one, over the top meal or day or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Most people who want to make this a lifestyle and find food freedom and be a human and enjoy life and aren't trying to
Mhm.
step on the stage, they're not going to be that rigid
Right.
during the
That's right.
week. So
And
if
it's
you
not
want,
sustainable. Like, it's not something that's sustainable. Like, that show is a show day. I'm not going to remain that lean. You know what I mean? It's for, yeah, it's for a purpose of the day. But what we want, most population, most of the people in the population want a sustainable lifestyle. Yeah.
yep, yep. And that's why, again, you were just a perfect example of a person who can speak from both sides of it because when you're in competition prep mode, you're like, okay, let me go have this cheat meal moment. And the rest of the time I'm on it. But then
Yes.
you also know how to flip the switch and go into lifestyle mode. And that's like
Yes.
what you'd been in, have been
Yes.
in is like
Yes.
enjoying, eating for pleasure and purpose every day and
Yes.
enjoying that.
Yes.
So I think that's a huge part of the whole discussion for a lot of
I
people
wanna
who
say
do
this too,
this.
because if just in case there is anybody listening that is into, competing, or I will say, typically, so I'm a year out from my next show, right? And so typically I'm already on my structured plan. And that can get very bland and very old, and it's almost like you literally set yourself up just to look forward to that one Sunday meal. This time around, I'm approaching it whereas I am going in food freedom. So I do my 80/20, and I'm following macros. And then as I get 3 months out, I will go more into that stricter mode. So I'm so excited and really seeing a lot of progress with even my coach, seeing this and just being in my macros, so I don't have to suffer for a whole year, right? Like I can enjoy the process, and so I'm loving being able to combine that bodybuilding and lifestyle can come together, and then maybe the last 3 months, we'll take it to another level, but it doesn't have to be for so long. So I'm excited.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that approach. So good. And that's where you are tracking
Yes,
macros and
that's
you
right.
are using that, but that's allowing you because you're in a good headspace with tracking.
That's right.
It's allowing you the freedom of prepping for your show and enjoying life
Yes.
at the same
Yep.
time.
Hmm.
So good. So good. Would you please share your seesaw analogy too, what we were talking
Yes.
about?
So it's like this. I always like have this vision when I don't know why my mind works this way, but these parallels, right? So you're on a playground, right? And there's a seesaw, and you're standing in the center of that seesaw, right? And on one side of it is the structure part of you, right? Like it's so good to have the structure and the meal prep and getting into a habit and a mindset of going to the gym every day and getting your steps in and getting your water. Like it's such a beautiful thing. It really is. There's so much
Mm,
like benefits and rewarding things that come along with that structure. But then you can be so structured that the obsessiveness over on this side of the seesaw can if it comes up too high, it's going to all of a sudden it's just going to go belly up on you, and it's all of a sudden you're in a very toxic mindset. And so it's always finding that balance of I'm in structure, but
mm,
how do I keep myself from crossing over and making my obsession get higher, right? How do we
mm.
do that? Right? And the moment is that when we start to create obsessive thought patterns constantly, we start to catch ourselves on a daily basis, constantly thinking about what our next meal is or what we're in danger zone. Like we
Mhm.
have crossed danger zone, and that's when it's good to have a coach to be able to say, look,
Mhm.
I want to trust the process, so I want to loosen the reins a little bit. Can you catch me? Can you hold me for a little bit and drive while I like am able to do this and loosen my grip a little bit, so that levels out that seesaw.
So good. So good. And that's where you also, it's like yes, you have to level your expectation too of how fast progress. Cause yeah, the fastest way is to be very, very accurate and track your food. And it gives us closer reins on things. But at what cost if you're not in a good headspace with it? So if that's your choice where it's like, hey, that's not for me in this season or in this moment, in this week, like, can we do some other alternative like we talked about before? Level set your expectation of how long the progress will take. But it's also the mindset shift of so what if it takes an extra 6 months or an extra year if you actually enjoy the process along the way and you're not completely falling off the seesaw because you became too obsessive with trying to be perfect and forcing something that's not working for you. Like, I think that's where a lot of women get is just like, I know tracking macros is the best thing, so let me force this to happen. And then it just spirals all kinds of which ways. And you could replace tracking macros with something else too. Other women come and they've tracked macros very, religiously in the past. And then they come and they join our program and they're like, oh, I'm actually trying to eat more. Oh, I'm actually supposed to allow myself some food freedom and allow like plan for fun foods in those macros. Like, oh, this is actually fun. Like I like
It's a
tracking
lot
the
of fun.
macros. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
This
lot of
way is fun, right? So it just depends on your personality
yeah.
too. But just know that there's not one mold for everyone. And it's knowing yourself and recognizing when you start to like that seesaw starts to dip into
Yes,
the obsessive
yes.
category. Um, would you also share? I think this is our last kind of point, unless if you have any others you want to share, but just even your personal example of we were talking prior to recording this, like I mentioned, and we were like, oh, let's hop on hop on a podcast and record what we just talked about because we were just talking about it and we were like, this is good. So anyway, your personal example of not eating the food at a wedding that you went
Oh,
to.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, just throughout all the years, in competition mode, right? Like, I've been to several weddings, and I just didn't eat. Like, I didn't participate. Like, I would literally just, I would always put stuff on my plate, and I would pretend that I was participating, so I didn't look abnormal, but I was not participating. And I would always have my food with me out in the car. It's just very very not healthy. If I could redo that part of my life over with what I know now today, I would hands down have enjoyed every moment of that wedding. And then I wouldn't have wanted to. I really feel like part of what makes us want to, like, when we get in these modes where we want to just eat everything that tastes good is because we have mentally restricted ourselves like over and over again. You can't have that. You can't have that. You can't have that. You can't have that. It's over and over and over. And that's in your subconscious. And so then when you're like, oh, F it, I'm going to eat that, then you eat all the junk, right? So it's paying attention to even our own thought pattern of, you are in control. You can have whatever you want to have, right? It's, do I
Mhm.
choose to eat this or not, right? It's not I can't have. It's, do I want to have this? Do I want to have
Mhm.
this wedding cake? Do I? Do I not? I don't know. Like, you're in control, and bringing the power back to yourself more, you are in control of this, right? And the cool
Mhm.
thing is, and even my husband and I were talking about this, because I even asked him, I said, he's been competing for years, and I said, how, what do you think has changed inside of you from when you first started competing to now? And in all honesty, it's even like the sense of control is something that he loves about bodybuilding because he can control the weights he lifts. He can
Mhm.
control the amount of water he puts in his body. He can control the amount of protein he puts in his body, but he can't control everything else that can go crazy in our life, right? But he can control that. So it comes back down to, you are really in control. So stop saying you can't eat and say, I can eat, but do I choose to eat this?
Ooh, mic drop was so good.
Yeah.
Do I choose to eat this? Yes. Again, I just love, like, I think, I don't know if you coined this term, but I always think of you, the pleasure versus purpose eating. Like,
Yes.
just that it just shifts it to being, again, your control. Like, I choose to eat for pleasure and I also choose to eat for purpose. And which one am I doing right now? It's as simple as that. Like, that's dumbing it down because we know how complicated it can be.
Yeah.
But, it really, it can be. And it just gives you the power back, gives you the reins back. And to Christy's point with, like, with the wedding, it's like like, looking back, you're like, oh, I wish I
Yeah.
just been present and enjoyed. It would not have affected things as much as I thought. And there is a big difference between someone like having a wedding or event like once a quarter. Yay, enjoy yourself, partake, have fun, versus the person who is having like two or three or four quote unquote social events, every single week while they're in a cut. And they're like, why am I not seeing changes? Two totally different people. The person listening to this is probably not going to that extreme of like eating out, going out, partying 3 or 4 nights a week, wondering why they're not seeing progress in their cut. You're probably the person who is trying to enjoy your spouse's birthday, who is wanting to go to the wedding and enjoy whatever food is provided and cake. Like, those things are just a drop in the bucket when you're consistent most of the other time. So it's finding that balance. And for our type A perfectionist personalities, as long as you are consistent, like 80 to 90% of the time, which you probably are on point that much, you can totally allow for those things without guilt whatsoever.
To simplify all of it too, you really look at it as consistency on both ends is going to win. Consistency of showing up for yourself, like with your working out, with your drinking your water, eating your, hitting your macros, that's going to win. But if you're consistently eating shit, you're also going to see that as well, right? So, but that one time is not going to hurt you, right? So it's just like, that one workout you miss doesn't, is not going to hurt you, right? But if you consistently, oh, I haven't trained in 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Like, it's consistent. You pick your consistency, right? You've got to be consistent in one or
Mm,
the other, right? Either doing it or not doing it. So, and you choose, again, you are in control. You choose.
Is that Atomic Habits, the where he talks about the vote, like which one are you voting for?
No, but
Um,
that's good though.
you
That's
know what I'm
that
talking
is
about?
Atomic Habits. Yes, that is. That is.
Yeah,
Yes.
Atomic Habits, where I think it's his book, but anyway, where like every choice you make is a vote for or against the person you want to become. And so if you have 90 votes for because you did your workout, you drank the water, you got the steps, you did all the things, and then you have one or two votes for like, oh, I had an extra glass of wine versus one, two versus one glass of wine, right? Yeah, that's a vote against maybe the person, the direction you're trying to go. But overall, you got 90 out of 100 votes. Like,
Mhm.
you're still winning. You're still gonna win
Right.
in the end. So it's just,
So good.
I wish I could just
Yep.
speak directly to all of our perfectionist ladies out there, and the
And
binging and
also
restricting.
really celebrating wins because I have so many clients who, I mean, they could have the best check-in, right? Like progress from where we've started has come so far, and their workouts, their PRs are up high, like they're just doing
Mm.
amazing. But, oh, I ate half a pizza last night, right? And then they'll just hone in on that I ate that half a pizza, and not that my PRs have been rocking, that I've been seeing major progress, right? It's that the fail that what we quote as a failure. So it's recoining. Is it a failure to eat half a pizza, or is it pretty badass because I've been kicking butt for that long, consistently, that I
Yeah.
can afford to enjoy myself without having a price to pay?
So good. It's so good. Yes. I feel like there's like 800 other client examples we could use. You guys, hey, thank you, clients. You
Yes,
give good material.
I really
But
do.
no, it's real life stuff. And that's where, like, even want to circle back to, she asked me specifically because she was like, you used to struggle with binging and restricting, right? Can you give me some tips here? And I told and shared very openly and honestly, I still have not, quote unquote, arrived by any means. I've just learned some things that have helped me along the way, and I'm better off than I was before. So, like, Christy, you and I, we don't speak to this as the quote unquote experts or that we're by any means perfect in our own pursuit. It's just we're maybe further along on our journey. And like you even mentioned, I think you use the word wisdom. You like just to use wisdom with this. And I think you just do get older and wiser with your with your fitness and nutrition
Yeah.
efforts. And
And
that's
even when I do, I mean, and this is truly what there was a time um that I couldn't eat 4 Oreos and like have peace with myself. Um, I can now have 4 Oreos and enjoy every bite of them and then go, I'm when I will trip myself up is if I go and eat four more an hour later. Like I know that that's going to mentally mess with me. So it's really finding that balance, right? Of just like, no, I can enjoy myself, but I can also get what's the next best thing. Let's do the next best thing. Next best thing would be what is that? The reset meal. We need to do our
mm,
reset meal. Okay, let me get my egg sandwich.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Oh, there's so many other tips I want to give, but I want to wrap this up because there's even things just like what season are you in, knowing yourself. Like for me, I'm a volume eater. So literally, it's actually funny. This just happened last night. My sister had Oreos. She knows I'm dairy free right now. I brought my own dairy free ice cream bar to have at her house. We went over to their house for dinner. And I brought that and I ate that. But she was like, oh, I also had Oreos for you, which FYI, you guys, they're dairy free and gluten free. But anyway, so I was like, oh, well, I'll probably still have Oreos too. I had two Oreos and then another two Oreos and then another two Oreos. But then I cut it at six. I had six Oreos. And then, but I'm a volume eater. And I was like, I still wanted to munch. So they had popcorn. And I was like, okay, what's the lesser of two evils? I'm going to grab handfuls of popcorn because it was just literally popped. They sprayed a little avocado oil, a little bit of salt on it, and I was like, okay, I could have like 8 handfuls of popcorn and that'll satisfy my just need for munching versus if I have 8 more Oreos or let's say the whole carton of Oreos, we're in a lot more damage than,
Yes. All right, that's so good. That
Anyway,
was a good thought process. Yes.
it was just, you find the little tricks and you just have to find what works for you. And that was by no means, I wish I had not had any of the Oreos, to be honest. Like, I should have just been good with my ice cream bar. Did I need 6 extra Oreos? No, but I'm like, well, it could have been 16 Oreos. So
And now
that's
if you and I also said to this, what if you wouldn't have eaten the Oreos and you were constantly like, I can't have the Oreos, right? I can't. I just can't have the Oreos. And then you're gonna all of a sudden, before you know it, you'll be in next weekend still thinking about those Oreos. That's how it happens. Like it's just there.
that's how it
So
happens.
I
Yes.
choose to only have 6 Oreos right now. That's what I'm choosing so that I can enjoy myself and move on with my life. Yeah.
Yes. And the self-sabotage too of if you don't in that moment, you think and then you reward yourself by thinking, oh, it was so good just then because I didn't do it. And then you'll probably try to reward yourself later because I was so good then. I'm gonna go overindulge here because well, it was just this weird reward system that doesn't usually work out in our favor. But
It's so true.
anyway, I digress. Is there anything else that you would add to this whole conversation? I feel like
I really just I think I just want to wrap it up with just saying like to all my clients that are listening or to not even my clients just to our clients, right, the Fit You family. um we are all in this together. Not I, including myself, when I say
Mhm.
that I still have to do a check-in with myself and go, okay, like this isn't an I can't moment. So what I'm saying, out here and putting out on this podcast, I also have to remind myself of all the time. It is always going to be um, something that I'm always growing from. I'm just
Mhm.
thankful now that I can eat the 4 Oreos and evolve from that. Where there was a time that I would have literally been like, beat myself up. Like I would have been like, I'm such a failure. Why did I do that? See, this is why you don't achieve things in life. Like I would have done all the things. And
Mm.
so being able to grow from that is something. So just know that yes, even people who've been in the industry over half their life still deals with these things. And we just remind ourselves like, hey, at the end of the day, we're living life and we're able to live the fit life that we want to live. Yeah.
So good. So good. We can wrap it up right there. And that's also clients for check-ins. I'm like, they're not a what did you do wrong this week? It's like, where can we improve this coming week? Even if you had a terrible, the tendency is, oftentimes people are like, oh, I had a terrible week. Can we just like skip this check-in and start over next week? It's no, let's audit our last week so we can actually do better going into the next week. It's not, there's not a judgment piece to it. It's like actually just so we can keep improving and growing. And to your point, Christy, you and I have to do that self audits as well. And even Christy's, you're working with a coach right now yourself.
Yes.
This
That's right.
beautiful thing is just it's about holding yourself accountable and then also letting other people hold you accountable too.
Yes.
And it's not doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing,
That's right.
that you have to be perfect or anything. It's just constant improvement. So
What really
anyway,
helps, the thing that really I love about having a coach is it's harder. And I always wonder too, like, is this what like, I don't know, like, cosmetologists deal with? You can't just always do your own hair, right? Like, it's like, for some reason, I can look at clients in front of me and I'm able to sculpt and do, right? Like all the things. But when I look at myself, it's like I don't have the right, like it's a different lens and I need someone else's lens on me for me
mm,
to be accurate and to be accountable, but also to not beat myself up so much. Yeah.
yep. Somewhat objective,
Yes.
objective third part. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So good. Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much for joining me. This is
I love it.
great.
I love this so much, Megan.